It says it's working on one side. It says it's working on the other side. I think it's working again. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think it stopped working. I don't know. It sucks. It bums me out because I read a bunch of stuff and you guys don't even know. I was like getting into it. That's awful. All right. So I watched my YouTube stream or the Twitch stream to see where I got cut off. And I just got done talking. I was just starting to talk about how language conditions thought, and how in Portland they did a homeless sweep in Portland, and I was like, and the way that I was talking about how Max Weber has, like, the iron cage. The iron cage conditions humans and controls humans. Okay. Then I talked about the tweet which talked about a homeless quote sweep. And I thought about, well, wait a minute, what is that you sweep? Do you sweep away trash? They're comparing humans to trash because that's how they, they associate humans with trash, houses, people with trash. It's an unconscious association meant to control the way you think. So, and I'm like, I'm not the only one who I'm not the one who came up with that, right? I'm not the one who thought of that about that. That's someone else entirely different. That is George Orwell. In 1948, George Orwell wrote this book called 1984. So he wrote it about 50 years in the future, and he talked about an idea called newspeak. Newspeak is deliberately ambiguous and contradictory language used to mislead and manipulate the public. So they're purposely using this misleading and language to condition the way you think so that they can deal with the problem in a manner they feel is most efficient. Because remember, in our capitalist society, the principles are rationality. Here, where does it go? What was it? Before it, not that one. The features, where does it go? So these features of the organizations aim to achieve efficiency. So it seeks to achieve efficiency, no matter what, right? Humans be damned. Humans don't matter at all, right? It's all about efficiency. So the way you relate to your fellow human is to our fellow humans is changed. We don't look at them as humans. We look at them as things to be managed through most efficiently. And the most efficient way and if you categorize humans as trash, houses humans as trash, then you keep them away. It's a way of dehumanizing people. It's a way that's through language, via language. And that's newspeak. Here, let's this is from the Cliff Notes on Newspeak, and it says, look, Orwell was sure that the decline of language had political and economic causes. Although he had no solid proof, he presumed that the languages of countries under dictatorships, such as the Soviet Union or Eastern Germany, had deteriorated under their respective regimes. When the general atmosphere is bad, language must suffer, Orwell writes in his essay, Politics and the English Language. If thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thought, he continues. Right? If thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thought. Here is the very concept behind the invention of newspeak. To illustrate this idea that idea can corrupt thought, and that totalitarian systems use language to restrict rather than broaden ideas. Orwell created Newspeak, the official language of Oceania. Without a word for freedom, for example, the concept of freedom cannot exist. In his appendix, Orwell explains that the syntactical arrangement and the epistemology of Newspeak, a living language such as English, one has the capacity of diverse. Let me start over. A living language such as English, one that has the capacity of diverse expression, has the tendency to gain words and therefore broaden the awareness and knowledge of its speakers. Newspeak, on the other hand, loses words by removing words that represent opposing concepts. Therefore, for example, because the word good presumes the opposite of bad, the word bad is unnecessary. Right? Or in modern terms, because the word critical presupposes bad, you get rid of it. Let's not talk about critical race theory. Critical race theory is bad. If we get rid of the opposing critical, then race theory disappears. You get it? You see how Newspeak works? Okay. Similarly, Therefore, for example, because the word good presumes the opposite of bad, the word bad is unnecessary. Similarly, all degrees of goodness can be expressed simply by adding standard prefixes and suffixes to this one root word, ungood, and plus ungood, and double plus ungood. In doing so, Newspeak not only eliminates unnecessary words, but also promotes the narrowing of thought and, therefore, awareness. The idea behind Newspeak is that as language must become less expressive, the mind is more easily controlled. Through his creation and explanation of Newspeak, Orwell warns the reader that a government that creates the language and mandates how it is used can control the minds of its citizens. So when Republicans talk to you about, you can't talk about critical race theory. Well, what is it that they're really trying to do? They're trying to control thought. They're saying you can't think that way. We don't like it. We don't like you thinking that way, is what they're saying. So this is important to remember, to think about. Max Weber's concept of the iron cage. Because you can tie it to the movie The Matrix. If you take the movie The Matrix and say, okay, that movie is all about Max Weber's iron cage, it makes total sense. It makes absolute sense, because then everything becomes a metaphor. It's all a metaphor, which is the way it's supposed to be, right? It's a big fat metaphor. Because literally, machines don't literally plug into the back of our necks. Not literally, but the machine doesn't go unless we humans go to work and do the things we need to do to make sure that the machine keeps running. If all the humans stopped and went on strike, the machine would collapse. So the machine needs humans for energy. Humans are batteries. All right, there. You get that metaphor? Okay, that metaphor is easy. And then you look at the matrix code, right? For the vast majority of humans, they don't even see the code. all they see are blonde, brunette, and redhead. Right? They can't even see the code behind it, the symbols that the humans are reproducing in order to create a projection. In the case of a woman, right, under the system of patriarchy has particular symbols that it finds more valuable than other symbols, particular expressions of materialism that it finds more valuable than other expressions of materialism. Therefore, if a human woman wants to succeed in a system dominated by patriarchy, the woman must be able to identify which of these symbols is most desirable to the patriarchal system. Then craft these symbols, because they're not her, right? They're not part of her. These symbols are not her. They're not. They have nothing to do with who really is. They have zero to do with who she really is. She is a human woman, and anything she does to express herself is an expression of a human woman. I don't care what form the human woman has. If the human woman creates an expression, that is an expression of the human woman. I mean, it's like teleological, I guess. All right. So, the human woman identifies which of the symbols in society, in patriarchal society, have more value than other symbols, and then crafts or doesn't craft those symbols, and then foists them upon themselves, and hobbles themselves with these symbols, hobbles their own human expression in order to create an expression favorable to a system of patriarchy. Not to men, because remember, the men themselves are also conditioned by this system of patriarchy. So it's not necessarily the human male desire of this patriarchal expression. It's not necessarily the same thing. These aren't necessarily congruent. Not necessarily. But this symbol is what the patriarchal system told the human men to find desirable. The human men themselves are also conditioned by their relationship to patriarchy and are slaves and have less freedom. But everyone reifies these symbols as if they're real and behave as if they're such. And because they behave as if they are real, they become real. We give them life through our humans, our portals. We give things life that wouldn't normally otherwise have life. We give things expression that wouldn't otherwise normally have expression. And humans only have so much bandwidth. So only so many things and only so many things and so many ideas can be expressed and made manifest and made into the world. There's only a limited amount. You're only here for so long. Death is coming for you. So what you put out there is out there forever. You can never take it back. It's out there forever. And what you didn't put out there will never be put out there unless you do it. Remember what I told you about your value? About the importance of your uniqueness? All right. This is great. I like this meme. Wait, it's all an abstraction? Wait, it's all an abstraction? Python programmers. C++, C++, always has been. Wait a minute. Wait, it's an abstraction? Assembly, always has been. Wait, it's an abstraction? Machine code, always has been. Wait, it's an abstraction? Always has transistors. Always has been. Wait, it's an abstraction? Always has been. I repeat. Ah! Oh man, that's awesome. that's why I like to say the more you know, the more you know. Because like even though you can't directly apply your expertise, it helps, like you can build bridges. By knowing other people's expertise and stuff, you can build bridges to what you know. And so like I'm over here in my little galaxy of knowledge, and I can see over there in that other arm, it's a totally separate arm, right? I'm not an expert in that. I can't touch it, like biology or engineering or something like that. Something I'm not an expert in, but I appreciate it. I understand that it's knowledge and it's really good. And I'm in my knowledge, social sciences, right? So I'm looking over there, and philosophy is like same thing, right? They're really cool in their branch. I'm not an expert in it, but like it's cool to look at them. But by knowing them, by learning what they do, I can like make like little jumps across the big divide of our disciplines. And that way I can get around to other disciplines I couldn't normally access with my brain. That it would be too far removed from my own specialty. I get around. Round to round. Okay, what else we got here? This is a great way of putting our current divide right now. This is here, I'll make more coffee. This is everything. Everyone's talking about how we're in a moment of paradigm shift, and it's true, we are. And like Republican, Democrat, multiracial democracy versus white supremacy autocracy, American versus Nazis, it seems like we're coming down to the singularity, right? The great divergence, where we're gonna go. And this is it. This is what it comes down to. When you look at the Republicans, when you look at fascists, this is what fascists are about. They put humans at the top of a pyramid. So we're looking at the top of a pyramid, and humans are on top, and all these creatures down here at the bottom. And they're here to support the human. That's Republicans. That's oil. That's control. That's control. Control. You have to let go of control. You have to let go. You have to let go. You have to let go and see that you're part of, not on top of. You're not on top of and removed. You do not dominate. You do not dominate. You are a piece of, and you're wrecking it for everyone else. You are not a king. You are part of a democracy, and you are wrecking it for everyone else. Now, I don't mean you. I don't mean like that, because that's this. I mean, you can do a part, but you are not. Remember, there's a system above you, and it conditioned you, and your job is to get yourself free of that system, of your brain. Get your brain free of that system so that you're able to use your meat machine to act in a great way. Let's see. So remember how earlier last show I told you about this one? Gonna happen again. Oh boy. No. It's gonna happen again. And what's worse is that it's gonna get worse. 1010 English lesson. Hey, yeah, no problem. Dude, yo, guy, I will teach you anything you want to know. Just ask, and I will teach you. Mr. Who's that? Gladwalker. Dude, I will teach you. Okay, check it out. Here's why I'm pessimistic. This is ice core data. This is showing, we're talking about CO2 levels. Al Gore in 2000 started talking about stuff saying, hey, dudes, we got a problem. Right? Look at the way things were going back then. Unfortunately, there was a coup by American fascists, and they overthrew the government and installed George W. Bush, and who propped up the oil regime by invading Iraq and doing all that nonsense. And look at our trajectory. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Nothing is. We are going up even faster. I am freaked out. I'm freaked out. I know this is not going to continue because, number one, it cannot. And number two, because China is going to release their thorium reactor in 2030. And that's going to be the end of oil. And that's going to be a massive, massive change to everything. I don't think Americans understand the magnitude of what this means, that China announced they're going to go commercial in 2030. It's the end of of Russia. It's the end of Russia, and it's the end of the American empire. Like, how's America going to maintain its military if no one's buying oil anymore? What are you guarding if no one's buying oil anymore? What are you doing? Oh man, it's crazy. Okay, let's see what else we got. So here's what I'm trying to get at, right? How do I say this? Kintsugi, also known as Kintsukiori Kuroi, is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending the areas of breakage with lacquer, dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. A method similar to the maki-e technique. As a philosophy, it treats breakage and repair as a part of the history of an object, rather than something to disguise. Basically, what this is saying is the Japanese have known about critical race theory since forever, and they made an art out of it. I love the Japanese. I love the Japanese. They made an art of it. As a philosophy, kintsugi is similar. I'm not saying it right, but whatever. Kintsugi is similar to the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, an embracing of the flawed or imperfect. Japanese aesthetics values marks of wear from the use of an object. This can be seen as a rationale for keeping an object around even after it has broken, and as a justification of kintsugi itself, highlighting the cracks and repairs as simply an event in the life of an object, rather than allowing its service to end at the time of its damage or breakage, and can be seen as a variant of the adage, waste not, want not. Ties into the Protestant work ethic. We're just talking about Max Weber. In fact, the Protestant work ethic is used as a way to explain why Japan was able to transition to capitalism so easily. They embraced it and went straight to it. Because Max Weber argued there was a similarity in their morality, I guess. The way they thought. And I can get into it I need to review it again before I talk too much about it. But I really, really like this idea of kintsugi because I think this could be applied to the United States. It is rather than trying to hide all the bad stuff that came to make the United States, we should be highlighting it and showing how the healing of these grave crimes can happen and serve as an example to the rest of the world. If we can do it, so can the rest of the world. It's up to us. So yeah, critical race theory is basically kintsugi. We're gonna not only are we gonna highlight what happened, but by doing so, we repair the damage and heal and we heal it. By seeing what happened, we heal the damage. And we highlight it. We show everyone, look what happened to us. Look what happened to us. We used to be real bad. And we got better. We learned. We got better. We got better. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. I believe we can win. Ah! Oh, for sure. But we're fighting right now, right? We got a problem. We're at a crossroads. Devil's right there, dude. Devil's making a deal. Devil's like, come on, guys, come on. I got a deal for you. Don't listen to that Jesus person. Don't listen to them. I got a deal. Look at all this oil. Oh my God, I'm dripping in it. Look at this oil. Don't you want this oil? Oh yeah, the oil. Devil wants a deal. I'm not down with it. I say don't listen to the devil. Oil is a bad deal. All right, what else we got? So we have to understand. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. This is awful. We were literally born into a planet that grows food. How did we fuck up so bad that I got a credit score? Well, this guy. Gage. What the fuck happened? How did we go from food growing on trees to in a cubicle with a credit score? What happened? And I say not necessarily Amazon, but the book Ishmael. You mix the idea that hunter-gatherers were enslaved by the agriculturalists with historical materialism. You mix those two ideas together. Ta-da! So here you want the quick and dirty version. Here, I'm going to give it to you as fast as possible. So back in the day, right? Guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Arthur, I forget his name. Arthur Dent? No. Anyways, he knows about this. So back in the day, humans were like awesome. I mean, not awesome, but like humans were part of like everyone else, right? We're part of the deal. We're part of nature. Like we lived and died with everyone else. But then we stole the fire. We didn't start the fire, but we stole it. We took the fire. What is fire? Fire is a way of getting energy. Because remember, the whole thing is about energy. This whole story that we're in is about energy. Like, remember, like millions of miles away, there's a ball of gas exploding and just giving out free energy, just to the void, just giving it out. Like, here, free energy for free. Just here, take it for free. I love you so much. Take it. That's it. Just giving it out. Just giving it out. I want nothing back. Just give it. Just take it. I want nothing back. Take it. Take it all. Take it. And 8 minutes later, little planet over here, blasted with it. Blasted. But for some reason, we have magnetic field. For some reason. So we have opposites. We have two opposites. And we have these two opposites create a field. Whoa! That like deflect some of the humans are ostriches. No, dude, humans are awesome. No, humans were not ostriches. Listen, humans were humans were hunter gatherers. I gotta keep this over here so I can watch the chat. Humans are hunter gatherers. So, but energy comes from either the sun, or it comes from the earth, the decay of uranium and thorium inside the earth, which creates heat and creates the geological processes. That's the only two places you get energy. So somewhere along the line, a bunch of protein got together and made a pattern, and they thought, man, this pattern is so great, we should make more of it. So the pattern kept repeating. Right, but in order to keep repeating, it takes energy, because order doesn't come from anywhere. It takes energy to make order, or it just falls to the lowest state. If you want to get any place, if you leave the lowest state and go above higher, it takes energy. So, and any kind of organization beyond the lowest state takes energy to maintain. So this pattern of proteins thought we're good. We want to make more of us, but to do so, you need energy. So it took energy from somewhere, either the sun, photosynthesis, or the environment, or if it figured out, I can take it from another piece of energy, another piece of life, and eat its energy to keep myself together. So, evolution, right? All the way up. All of evolution can be explained by pieces of protein in a pattern wanting to make more of itself. Yeah, I wanted to make more of myself, but this other piece of protein came along and ate me. So I evolved a flagellant to flap along so I can move out of the way and not get eaten by that guy. Well, then this guy's like, well, I need to eat. So I evolved two flagellants to go chase after that guy faster. Well, then this guy's like, well, I evolved a second one of me that we attached together so that this guy can't get us because we're too big. Well, this guy's like, well, I evolved a bigger eating mechanism so I could eat you anyways. I don't know. Right? It's a big story, right? It starts a long way, but it's always the chase after energy. Always the chase after energy. And then it gets to the point, like we're going up, and we get to humans, right? Humans, and they're hunter-gatherers. They're just wandering around, and they'll like pick up stuff to eat, and they'll kill an animal if they can, and if they can't, then they die. Just like animals, right? Just like everything else. But somewhere along the line, they stole fire. Fire is a way of getting energy that is not from geology, not from the mother, and not from the sun. It's a way of getting energy not from the earth and not from the sun. It's a different way of getting energy. And this utterly transformed humans. I mean, I don't know if I don't think people appreciate it. I don't think people understand what it meant to have fire. Because with fire, I mean, it's basically a source of energy so that you can see at nighttime. You're not bound by the cycles of day and night. You can see at nighttime and be active. You can go in deep, dark caves when you couldn't go in there before. The food that you were eating before, like, you couldn't get all of the energy out of the food because it had parasites, which meant you had parasites, and those parasites sapped your energy. Why do you have parasites? What's the nature of a parasite? A parasite is a relationship with an entity that takes your energy but doesn't give you energy back. That's a parasite. So animals have parasites because they can't do anything about it. And humans had parasites because they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't do anything about it. That's just the way it was. So when you eat animals with parasites raw, because what else are you going to do, then you are going to get the parasites too. So, and when you have a parasite, it's not just like parasite, they sap your energy. You are weaker. You have less energy to live and to express yourself. So it's a bummer, right? You're bummed out. But when humans took the fire, they gained all this stuff. Suddenly they can cook. Like you could never ever cook before. That was like not a thing you could do. All of a sudden you can take nuts that you couldn't eat before, and if you cook them, now you can eat them. Like the toxins that were in the nuts, you can eat them. So now you have more food accessible to you. That's and then the animals, when you kill the animals and you cook them, now that kills the parasites in them. So you have fewer parasites. You might have a bunch of parasites, but your kids will have a lot less parasites because they're going to live on not parasite food. Amazing. Which means your kids are going to grow up to be healthier, stronger, faster, bigger brains. Like, it's amazing just by stealing fire, by having the source of energy, because it's energy, right? You're taking wood that took its energy from the sun and then died. And then you take that wood and you apply oxygen to it so that it has a chemical reaction and oxifies really, really fast. And when it oxifies really, really fast, it releases gas, heat, and light. Energy. Those are all energy. And then, that the humans take, they use it for stuff. So now humans have a bigger brain because they have fewer parasites, and they're not eating raw nuts and raw food anymore. Their stuff is cooked, so they don't need massive jaws, my big jaw, to chew up the food. They can just, they don't need this mass. They don't need it anymore. They don't need it. It's giant and not necessary. So it atrophies. It goes away bit by bit. This gets selected out and it gets smaller. It takes energy to maintain this gigantic ass jaw. So it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. As it gets smaller, it needs more room to be able to use it to make sounds. At the same time, because there's fewer parasites and you're getting more calories are energy, dude. Your body runs on energy, right? It's not that they're just calories. Calories are energy. Those little things that those one-celled organisms were chasing after? They're chasing after calories. So all of life, these nuts, all life is chasing after calories. All of life is chasing after calories. The entire time. Humans, through fire, got a way of getting calories really well. And because they got calories really well, it meant their jaw shrunk and their brains exploded. And when your brain explodes, it gives you the capacity for symbolic thought. Symbolic thought, symbols for interpretation. Okay, so now humans are like moving in hunter-gathering societies. They're doing their thing. And somewhere along the line, one human figures out a pattern. He's like, wait a minute. This stuff has a pattern. And these things here have a pattern. And if I take these seeds and put them in the ground, over time, if I stay here, over time, they will grow and there'll be more of these. And I can do this over and over again and have a whole bunch of these things. And I can stay put and not move around. And I have extra calories, extra energy. So it started with fire. Then it moved on to agriculture. You can get extra calories from growing stuff, growing plants. Then you could keep a silo, a store, a grain store, so you can keep your extra calories. You have so many calories, you can't use them all. It used to be that you didn't have enough calories, you would starve, just like animals. You know, if animals can't hunt, then they die. If animals can't go out and look for food, they die. If there's no food for animals to find, they die. That's just the way it is. Nature is metal. Nature is hardcore. That's the way it is. But humans figured out stuff that if you you're right, dude. Eventually, you're getting there. Humans figured out that if you keep you can keep these calories in a silo, which means even if there's no food around you and animals die, humans don't die. Humans can keep living. Humans decoupled themselves from the cycle of nature. Right? They're no longer they no longer have to listen to nature anymore. They no longer have to die when nature says die. They no longer have to move when nature says move. If there's no food around, they don't care. They can grow their own, says the human. The human starts uncoupling themselves from nature. Do you see what happens there? And you're right, dude. You're right. Arco DN, you're totally right. Because once humans have all this extra calories, they're like, well, what else? Who else can we bring along? Who else can we bring with us on this trip? They're like, hey, cow, you want to come along? Hey, pig, you want to come along? hey, chicken, you want to come along? So humans started domesticating a bunch of animals, which means the humans controlled the animals by giving them food and limiting where they can move and controlling their reproductive processes. So humans are starting to really, really ratchet things up now that they've decoupled themselves from nature because they have extra energy, because they have extra calories. Now, yeah, you're right, dude. Now that you have meat, you fucking can make calories. You can make sandwiches, and that's even more calories. Now you grow even bigger humans who have even bigger brains. You're starting to catch on. All these extra calories, this extra energy pouring into the humans to create stuff. But all this extra, all of this surplus, this surplus wasn't around before. This surplus is something new, right? The surplus wasn't here before. In nature, there's no surplus. Nature doesn't have a surplus. If there's a surplus, it gets gone right away. Right away. There is no surplus in nature. But man, through the manipulation of energy, has created a surplus and now has a new dilemma on their hands. Man must make a decision. What does man do with the extra? What do I do with this extra? What do we do? Is it going again, dude? My Minecraft stream keeps breaking, or the stream keeps breaking. Okay. Oh no, wrong one. Wrong. The stream keeps breaking. I don't know why. Save and quit. Maybe because I'm not moving, so it ends my stream. I have to keep moving, I guess, or Twitch will end my stream. Okay. So I was talking. I was saying with all this mastery of energy, the humans are like, what do we do with all this extra? So one group of humans, you know, they have agriculture, they have animal husbandry, like they're like, we have all these extra calories. What do we do with all this extra energy now that we decoupled ourselves from nature? And one guy with his group of friends is like, you know what? I think that all that extra is mine. It's mine because I'm big and strong and you're weak. And if you don't believe me, my friends will beat you up. So you guys need to go do all the work, and my friends and buddies will make sure that you do all the work, and we keep the extra, and we'll give you what we think you need. And that's the start of master-slave relationship, right? Remember, relationships are real things. The way humans related to each other before, when they were hunter-gatherers, when they were connected to nature, was that all the humans were one another, were equal to one another, right? There was hierarchy, but it wasn't like a value hierarchy. It was more like we're all on the same team, but there's a guy who calls there's a quarterback. The quarterback isn't like better than anyone else. The quarterback is just the guy who calls the plays. That's it. He's not better than anyone else. He'll live and die too with the team. It's just that he's the one who calls the plays. That's all. It's like that. But but humans decoupled themselves from nature by excess energy through fire and through getting calories, and then through agriculture, getting even more calories. Humans are, and when they decouple themselves, they have this extra, and then they have to relate to them. They have to relate to each other in a different way. They can't be equal like they were before. Now they have master-slave relations. The master, who doesn't want to use his energy laboring to reproduce agriculture, instead divides the labor and puts himself as master and uses violence to coerce others into the role of slave, where they use their labor and give their excess energy to the master. So the master then sends out his people into the surrounding areas to find other hunter-gatherer tribes that have not converted to agriculture. And they find them and they say, either you convert to agriculture, well, no, it's just that we find you and then we catch you, and then we make you our slaves. We take you back to our town, our settlement, and we make you slaves. You work on our agriculture, and we keep the extra energy and decide where it goes. And then with that extra energy, now you have people who don't work. And those extra people who don't work specialize. They use their energy to make baskets, to create pottery, to I don't know, to do a bunch of other stuff, to specialize. Do you see how things start evolving? Once humans decoupled themselves from nature and got their energy from someplace other than the sun or the earth, they had this surplus calories that they had to allocate. It's all about the surplus. What did you do with the surplus energy? Because it's all about energy. All right, I don't want to go through it because it's a lot, but it you go through the Roman Empire. Roman Empire falls. Then it converts into in the West, because I'm trained in Western thinking, so I'm gonna go through the West. um, um, and you have Rome, right? And you have the church who maintains power through Christianity, right? The only way you get through to Jesus, remember, under Christianity, under the Roman Empire, salvation is achieved through Jesus. And Jesus is only accessible through what he said. And you can only get what he said through his disciples wrote down. And you can't read it because it's in Latin and no one has books because books are rare. So you have to go to the church in order to get salvation. So you have to do whatever the church says in order to get salvation. And if the church says this person's king, then that person's king. And whatever that person does is right because that person is king according to God, divine right of kings. You have, as a commoner, you have no recourse. You have no recourse. If the king comes and rapes your daughters, that's all fine and dandy according to God, because the king is a representative of God. Doesn't that suck? That's awful. That's horrible. What injustice. We moderns can look back on that and be like, yep, that's injustice. But back then, because of the division of labor and the way energy was allocated, it was different. Like for the serf, the only way you can get salvation in the next life, according to the church, was by listening to the church. The church gave divine rights of kings to the king. Whatever the king does is according to God. So if the king comes, or any aristocracy comes and rapes your kids, that's what God wants. And you as a peasant have to just suck it up. Ah! That's awful. That's awful. But that's the way it was for a long time. And so what did the peasants do? They raised crops. And what do? They paid taxes to the king in terms of crops. Why? Because crops are calories. Why? Calories are... You're killing me. You're killing me, dudes. You're killing me. So feudal lords appropriated the calories grown by the peasants in order to create armies to invade other lands, to get their peasants to grow more food, to get more calories, to make bigger armies, to invade more lands, etc. Repeat over and over and over again. But two things happened. One thing was the Renaissance. Another thing was the printing press. Another thing was capitalism. The breaking of the guilds. But so okay. So feudalism. That's what it works on, right? How did we go from feudalism to capitalism? Well, you see the inherent contradiction of how feudalism works. You have peasants to grow food to raise an army to invade lands, to take their peasants, to grow more food, to create bigger armies, to keep invading lands. So that's basically you basically keep doing that. It's basically what Rome did. Rome did that, but instead of saying peasants, you instead of invading lands to get peasants, Rome invaded lands to get slaves and sent the slaves back to Rome. And then in Rome, it would sell the slaves if it didn't need them. So, but it was based on slavery. Feudalism is basically the same idea, but instead of slaves, now you're moving peasants, and you don't ship the peasants off their land. You keep the peasants on their land. They're tied to the land. You just ship the food somewhere else. You got it? Okay. But the same problem that caused the collapse of the Roman Empire caused the collapse of feudalism. like you can only expand so far before you can't do it anymore because the infrastructure is not there. You can't. What connection does a Roman outpost in England have with Rome in Italy? Well, Rome, when your mode of communication is by foot. It takes years or forever to get any information from one end to the other. There's no connection whatsoever there. Same problem with feudalism. You had no connection. You had no connection to one another. So as your empire grows, people start saying, why should I pledge fealty to a lord who exists thousands of miles away that I have never seen and will never talk to? What's that got to do with me? There's no. If I send him a message, it would take years if it ever even gets there. Right. But the thing that helped create integration was the creation of roads and commerce. Because roads and commerce started a rudimentary social neural network, and ideas started flowing. Now you had the flow of ideas, whereas before the only way you got exchange of ideas was through conquest, which was pretty traumatic, right? Pretty traumatic way of introducing new ideas to a place. But if you have commerce, that's a nice way of introducing ideas to a place. Exchange of ideas through commerce, not through conquest, but through commerce. That's awesome. So that's what started happening so you had a bunch of factors. It's hard to maintain an empire when your mode of communication is via foot. The second thing is, with the explosion of commerce and the specialization of labor, now you had guilds, and guilds have a lot of power. Guilds had a lot of power, a lot of power, because in order to, not everyone had the knowledge to do whatever that needed to be done, and guilds were very, very protective of their secrets. Not anyone could be a tanner, or not anyone could blow glass, or not anyone could work iron, or not anyone could sew clothes, right? If you wanted that work done and you wanted to know the secrets of how to do that, you had to train under a master, and you had to work for free basically under a master. And then once you were in, you put in enough free labor that you're in with the system, that they knew that you were going to support the system and not turn around and just give out the free secrets to everyone. They're like, all right, you can come in and you can make a living as one of us, but you have to maintain the secrets of our trade so that other tailors are gonna, you protect their secrets, right? If you go around and blab the secrets to everyone of tailoring, and everyone starts tailoring, then us tailors can't make a living anymore. So don't do it. So yeah, the lords who depended upon the guilds, the various guilds, to get their good stuff, the lords and aristocracy were very angry at the guilds because they did this. More coffee. So a way, but one guy figured out a way to get around that. He figured out a way to get around that. He found out that if you can get all the guild members into one big area, you can control them better. You can watch them and make sure that they're working. Because before, guild members could work whenever they wanted. The tailor could work or he could not work. He gets his stuff. He gets your order done when he wants to. Where else you gonna go? All the tailors are in a guild. Everyone's gonna go at the same speed. No other tailor is gonna undercut me if I don't want to work on your stuff. I'm gonna go at the pace I want to go. But in England, they had a revolution of thought. They figured the lords, during their conquest stuff, they're getting lots of food, but they didn't want food, they wanted stuff. And the stuff they wanted was manufactured goods from the guilds. And the guilds don't want food, they wanted gold. So the lords, all this food, the armies conquested as much as they could. They couldn't conquest anymore. So they're like, well, what do we do with all this food? Well, they sold the food for gold, and then they used their gold to get stuff from the guilds. But after a while, they had no more food to sell. So they had to start selling their land. They had to privatize their land. Before, the land was controlled by the lord. But if the lords started selling their land and privatized it, they got money for it. And with the money they got, they could buy the goods they wanted from the guilds. But with the privatized lands, that meant the peasants who lived on those lands for generations, they didn't know anything else except living on the land. That's all they knew for generations. All of a sudden, all the land that they lived on of the lords was enclosed. It was privatized. And the people who lived on the land were kicked off. They're like, oi, get out of here. This is private land. The lord sold the land to a private investor, and now you're not allowed to be here. Get out of here. Kicked off. So the peasants are kicked off, and they're not allowed to work the land anymore. And they can't go on people. There's no more. All the land is privatized. There's only one place for the peasants to go, and that's the city, where it's dirty and cramped and shitty, and the only thing they could sell is their labor or their bodies. Yeah, dude. Forever they could always sell sex, right? Yeah, patriarchy. That's a whole other deal. But peasants, all they could do was sell their labor. So it was a bunch of free labor. So you had the pool of free labor on one hand. On the other hand, you had all these guilds who had a bunch of money and power. And one guy figured out, hey, since all the land is becoming privatized bit by bit by bit, even in the city, the land is being privatized. And now the guild workers don't have a place to do their guild stuff. So me, as a private investor, I'm going to buy a private cottage where I can get all the guild people to come in, and I'm going to sit on top and I'm going to watch all the guild members work. That way I can control how the guild members work and what time they work. So they can't just sit around and be lazy. They have to work when I tell them to work. So bit by bit by bit, the capitalism takes control away from feudalism, away from the church, away from the aristocracy, away from the guild members, and into the hands of the capitalists. Because now that the capitalists can watch the guild members, and now that the capitalists can control what time the guild members can work, the capitalists can observe the secrets of the guild members as they work. And he can watch them and then teach them to other of his pool of labor, of all the peasants who came in who have nothing to sell. And he's like, hey, peasant, I have to pay this tailor like 10 gold to do the thing. I'll pay you 30 copper to do the same thing. Deal? Deal. So you don't have to do what he does, the whole thing. All you have to do is this one tedious part. You see how he does it? Just do that part. So bit by bit by bit, the capitalist starts taking control, and we shift from master slave, from hunter gatherer to master slave to feudalism to capitalism, where we are now, where the capitalist machine further specializes the labor and alienates humans from one another. And a manifestation of that alienation is newspeak. According to George Orwell. Remember, what is newspeak? Deliberately ambiguous and contradictory language used to mislead and manipulate the public. So when they say homeless sweep is what you do to trash. They want to associate homeless with trash. They want to associate humans with trash. That's a way of they're trying to condition the way you think. Man, this has been a very tedious thing. Definitely ain't no Mario Party. Yo, dude. So what else I got here? Real quick. Okay, how did we mess up? GOP. Healing with gold. Tucker Carlson's a Nazi. Fox's fascist attack thing. Yeah. Yeah, anyways, all right. I think I'm going to end it here unless you guys got something to say, want me to talk about. What was my plan? I think my plan was to just make a trading hall over here and forget about it over here because it's annoying over here. I'd rather just do it over here and make it right. And that way it's in the desert and it looks cool and I have ground underneath me instead of just being hanging my butt over the water. So Mandela effect. What's the Mandela? Oh, the mandala, a kaleidoscope, dude. You want to see the kaleidoscope? The Buddhists, the Buddhists are awesome. I love the Buddhists. So a mandala. Buddhists believe in impermanence of the material world. And they believe they're all about not getting hung up on the material world. And they want you to also appreciate the now. So what they do is they take colored sand and they make these amazing patterns that take incredible concentration. I don't know how they do it. These huge, and they're called mandalas. Well, yeah, the mandala, right? It's like a kaleidoscope, and then they create these amazing things, and it's just these beautiful structures, and then when they're done, they destroy it. They just blow it away like dust in the wind. It's crazy. I'm like, man, you put all that work into it and just to destroy it. But they want to. But it's the point. It's the point. The impermanence of the beauty of the impermanence of beauty, and to not get hung up on the material. Nelson Mandela. That's Mandela. He's Nelson Mandela. I think you're talking about the Mandela effect. You might be talking also about the Mandelbrot set. Mandelbrot is a fractal, and fractals are great. Oh, okay. I'll check that out. I'll check that out. I don't know about. That sounds like a mass delusion. That kind of sounds like what's happening now in the United States. Like, there's a whole bunch of people that believe in this idea of massive fraud, but it never happened. And they're willing to overthrow the government based on this delusion. of massive fraud that never happened. But yeah, I'll totally check that out. Remembering things that never happened. That's kind of trippy, man. That's like glitches in the Matrix type stuff. All right, senor. I've had a very bad experience here. I need to not stream at 1080p because I can't. My stream can't handle it. I had how many broken streams today? I feel bad. So I'm glad that you're talking to me. I'm glad I have social interaction. But oh god, the way the stream got broken was just no good. That's what I want to warn about. So Donald Trump was talking about him being reinstated as president. That's not going to happen because he can't settle on a date. At first he said August 31st, then his spokesperson said August 13th, and then his spokesperson said something else. They don't have a real time because the fact is it's not going to happen. And that's their whole point. They don't really want to set on anything clear. They want ambiguity. They want confusion and chaos. They just want their followers to be confused and then looking at the leader for anything to make sense of it. So beware of this because they're planning on it. They have not yet been reprimanded for their actions. All the state representatives or all the representatives who are responsible are still there. Lorena Boebert, she's still there. Alex Mooney, he's still there. There was one guy who came up recently. Paul Gosar. This guy is still working in Congress. He's still trying to overthrow the government. He's still engaged in seditious activity. He has not been punished yet for his role. So that stuff is going down because none of the leaders have been punished. I don't want to go after the poor idiots who got hoodwinked into storming the Capitol. They got hoodwinked. They got tricked. They got bamboozled. They got bamboozled. Did you see that shit? Did you see that? I'm not even joking. Donald Trump said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go over there to the Congress," and then he made his hologram. And all the people in the crowd saw his hologram walk to the Congress, to the Capitol, and they followed it. But Donald Trump did not go. They got bamboozled. They got bamboozled. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I kind of blame them, but it's understandable. They got bamboozled. What I'm concerned about is not necessarily them. What I'm concerned about are the leaders. If you want to end an insurrection, you don't go after the poor saps who got bamboozled. You go after the leaders. And from my vantage point, the leaders have not suffered any consequences. Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Donald Trump for sure, all those Congress people, Paul Gosar for sure, Mo Brooks, Lorena Boebert, yeah. Those leaders have not been punished. So as long as they haven't been punished, the cancer is still in the government, and they will continue to try to overthrow the government. I hear the next plan is to gerrymander the states, all the states. The Supreme Court Justice John Roberts struck down the Voting Rights Act. So now the states are free to gerrymander as much as they want. The federal government will not intervene. That means, remember, the federal government, the Confederates control more state governments than the Unionists. The Confederates control more state governments than the Unionists. So when they gerrymander, if everyone gerrymanders to high hell, like rationally, right? Rationally, if the federal government is not gonna intervene, state governments are gonna gerrymander to cement their control on their states. If the majority of states are controlled by Confederate governments, then they're gonna cement their control on it, and that means the majority of states are gonna be gerrymandered in favor of Confederates. So they're gonna take control of the House of Representatives in 2022. When the Confederates take control of the House of Representatives in 2022, they're going to they're going to select Donald Trump to be the Speaker of the House. That's their plan. And then Donald Trump is going to impeach Joe Biden. He doesn't need a reason to impeach him. He doesn't need a reason. The Constitution doesn't say you need a reason to impeach a president. You can do it for whatever with the majority, and which they'll have. So it's pretty much the end of democracy. We're basically looking at the end of democracy right now if things don't change. Now the Democrats have a plan. They have a bill called the Voting Rights Act to take care of this, to say anything that the states want to do has to be okayed by the federal government first. Like, you can't just willy-nilly disenfranchise voters. You have to make sure that everyone gets the chance to vote. But that plan is being blocked by two senators, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Confederates don't want to do it for sure. They want to overthrow the government. But Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are supposedly Democrats, but they want to keep the filibuster because it helps the Confederates. The filibuster helps the minority government hold on to power, so that if you have because the things that the Confederates want to do only require a majority. They can do it through reconciliation. They don't need the Republicans to help at all, or the Democrats to help at all. But to do anything that the Democrats want to do, to govern, all their stuff requires a supermajority, unless you get rid of the filibuster. But Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin don't want to get rid of the filibuster. They want to keep it for Republicans. They don't want to pass the Democratic agenda. So if they don't pass the Democratic agenda, that's the end of American democracy. And we're going to have some big problems moving forward. Well, I mean, we're going to have big problems moving forward anyways, because Americans aren't facing reality that in 2030, China is going to wreck everything by introducing molten salt reactors. China doesn't have to fire a bullet, not a single bullet. They don't have to invade countries. They don't have to kill people. They don't need drones. They don't need nuclear missiles. They don't need arms races. All they have to do is invent a thorium nuclear reactor, and the American empire is destroyed. It's the truth. So you have a choice, American empire. You have a choice. You can have your empire ripped out of your hands and suffer all the trauma associated with that, all the bad stuff associated with that, or you can gracefully lay down control and violence. Gracefully lay down control and violence and uplift everyone else. And by doing so, provide an example to the rest of the world that would want to emulate. Because remember, it's going to happen in 2030 when China does it. So your choice is to either go out thrashing, what you're doing right now, which is what will happen if Republicans take control, if the Confederates take control. If they take control, it means the United States is going to leave the oil era thrashing the worst way possible. It means the United States is going to take out everybody they can in order to maintain control of oil. Or the alternative is to defeat the Republicans, defeat fascism, install multiracial democracy, and implement a solution superior to the Chinese model, which will be implemented in 2030. Because what I started with on this whole point is that it's about energy. It's about energy. Oil, humans were, capitalism burns humans for energy. That's what I was getting at about when through the chain of history, I was showing you where humans get energy. Humans got energy from either the sun or the earth, like all other life on earth, while they were connected to nature. But humans decoupled from nature, and humans grew even when they weren't supposed to. Humans kept growing because they had a surplus of energy. They took energy from fire by burning stuff. They burned stuff. Humans learned they can burn stuff to get energy. So they burned stuff to get extra calories. And when they found out they can burn stuff to get extra calories, they found out they can burn humans. You burn humans and to get extra calories. Then they found out you could burn humans to invade other lands and take their calories. Under capitalism, you found out you could burn humans and take their energy and transform it into profit, into capital. But it all comes down to burning. Burn. You burn something. You're taking your energy from not the sun or not the earth. It comes down to burning. Oil is simply burning the energy that plants took from the sun. That's it. It's burning. Capitalism, all of this decoupling from nature is because humans burn to take energy. In order to reconnect to nature, in order to survive, because we're going to die this way. Like, this is the choice, right? Fascists want to keep burning. They want to keep burning humans. They want to keep burning oil. That's what fascists want to do. But unionists want to rejoin nature, reconnect with nature, and realize we can't take energy from burning anymore. There's two places we can take energy. We can take energy from the sun, or we can take energy from the earth. And nuclear is a way of taking energy from the earth. That's what the earth does. That's how the earth makes energy. It's the decay of thorium and uranium in the mantle, which creates the earth, the heat, which drives plate tectonics. And plate tectonics is what drives volcanoes. And volcanoes, I think, is what we need to do in order to block out some of the sun for a little while. Naturally, like, let's drop a nuclear bomb in a volcano to slow down this heat for a little bit, because Oregon's about to suffer its second 1,000-year heat wave in the same year. We don't have time. So this is where we're at. We're at a crossroads, right? Where do the humans get their energy? Do they get their energy from burning oil and other humans, or do they recognize that humans are humans and they merge with humans, and by healing with humans, you also heal with nature? And by healing with nature, we humans can progress forward through human. Only one of these branches has a way forward, and it's not the burning. If you continue to burn, you go to hell. But if you merge, because by getting your energy from thorium through nuclear, that's gonna give us time to get to fusion, which is energy by combining. From unity, which is the best energy, which is what the energy of the sun is. I mean, but we have to make it through this moment. We have to hold on to multiracial democracy. Like, it's weird. It connects. It's hard for me to get it, the picture. It's hard for me to zoom out enough and to connect all the parts to make it look like one big picture. But I'm telling you, this link right here is really important. This link right here, where we're at this moment in time now, we have to hold on to multiracial democracy. We have to do it. We can't let the oil people win. We have to hold on to multiracial democracy. It's a war on so many levels. I can't even get into it. So, okay, I apologize for the really longness of it, and I apologize for all the brokenness of it. I think I'm gonna change this and stream at 7:20 next time to make sure that it doesn't get broken up. Thank you for hanging out, and I will catch you next time. All right, Pogo Kiddo, coming up this Tuesday. The church of the cult of the white idol is gonna manifest in Salem. So counter manifest. Remember the teachings of Jesus in Matthew 6. Counter manifest the church of the white idol. And because when matter and antimatter meet, they annihilate each other. And let's annihilate the church, the cult of the white idol. All right, America. Until next time. Peace. Pogo Kiddo out.